In this video, we're going to show you how to use the new door and drawer tools to add doors and drawers to a divided cabinet. So you might want to watch the drawing a divided cabinet video first, and this is what we drew in that video. So our divided cabinet tool to draw a divided base cabinet does not, at this point, give you doors and drawers. And one of the reasons for that is in the future, we're going to expand the divided cabinet tool to allow you to have any number of openings that you create here. And we might be able to put a vertical style and divider in there and create two separate spaces and maybe another little guy up here to give you really a lot of flexibility. And we don't know when you draw that whether you're going to be putting doors or drawers in that particular opening. So we're trying to plan for the future here. So the idea is with the divided cabinet tool, you draw a bunch of openings. Right now we can just draw horizontal divisions and eventually vertical. And then we're going to use two new tools to allow you to put doors or drawers in there. So if we want to put a door in, we're going to use this new tool over here. If we go to our toolbar, it's called Insert a Door, and there's also Insert a Drawer. So I guess let's start with the drawer. So we're going to put a drawer here and a drawer here. So what you do is you grab the standard SketchUp rectangle tool up here. Click on that, and you draw a rectangle from, I'll zoom in here. So I'm starting with this corner to here. That defines my opening. And then I hit the space bar to get out of that tool, and I just select that rectangle. Then I go over here to the Insert a Drawer tool, click it. It takes a couple seconds. It has to think through some things, and it creates a drawer front. Using the standard parameters that have been set for drawer fronts on any other cabinet, including the gaps and so on. And I'm going to hit the letter R for my rectangle tool again. And I'm going to draw a rectangle from there to there. Hit the space bar, select the rectangle, and I'm going to hit the drawer tool again. Thanks for a couple seconds, and suddenly we have a drawer front. And you'll notice if I go over here to my layers and turn off base drawers, notice I've got two holes also put in there. Those are the holes for the drawer slides that I specified in my drilling parameters, so you get those along with it. Then this opening we're going to leave open because there's a stove going in there, so we don't need anything there. And over here I'm going to put some doors right here. And again, go to my rectangle tool, select it, hit spacebar, select the rectangle itself, and hit the Insert a Door tool. It's going to ask me the number of doors and if I want to override the default hinge side settings. So the hinge side settings come into play if you only have one door. We make some assumptions on where you want the hinges to go. In this case, it would always go up where there's a end panel, but if you decided you didn't like that, we were only doing one door, you could say I want to override to the right, and I could put the hinges on the right side if I wanted. I'm going to leave them where they're at right now because I'm actually doing two doors, and I'm going to get hinge holes on both sides. If we turn off our base doors, you'll see that we've got shelf holes as specified in our parameters, and we've got hinge plate holes on both sides. Turn my doors back on. Let's just leave this as an opening, and we'll just put a couple doors down here. Again, my rectangle tool, space bar to get out of it, select the rectangle, put a couple of doors on there. Okay, and I can put more here and so on down the line. So let's just make this a one door, and I'm going to default the override the default hinge setting. It would normally go on the right side because there's an end panel there. I'm going to put it on the left, and if we turn off our doors, we should see hinge holes on the left here, but not on the right. So pretty quick and easy. The only thing is now, because of the way this tool works, if I were to go in and edit this cabinet and change the width of it, or the height, or anything else about it, I would have to delete the doors and redraw them. That's because right now there's no connection between these. Well, there is a connection, but the doors and drawers were just drawn over these size openings, and so if we change the opening size, we have to delete those doors and redraw it. So we can demonstrate that. For example, say we didn't like the fact that we've got one door here and we wanted to do this two. So what we can do is go CabWriter. I right-clicked on the door. CabWriter, select subassembly, select doors. And that gets me all the doors, so I don't want that. So I'm going to have to go in and select each of these parts, hitting the Shift key to select multiple parts. Now I've selected the door panel as well. Right-click, unlock. I'm hitting the Delete key to delete it. Now, if I redraw these doors as is, let me put the rectangle back and redraw the doors as two doors. I'm getting an error that says CabWriter is attempting to drill a hole or hinge plate hole in a space or over an existing hole. And what's happening here, if I delete this rectangle, it drew the doors, but it actually drew the doors for me, but I got lucky because there was holes already in the spot that it was going to drill. So what the error message was it was attempting to tell me that, well, there's already a hole there, so I can't drill it. And in this particular case, it wasn't much of a problem because it it just didn't draw these holes again and added my hinge plate holes for that second door. So that wasn't too much of a problem. But if I were to change this drawer to a door, I'm going to have some holes that don't belong anymore. So I'm going to unlock this, delete it. These two holes here, they might not interfere, but I don't want them there anymore. So I got to go manually delete those. And the way you do that is you triple click, unlock, triple click, and I'm going to go into transparent mode, X-ray mode up here. And that way I can see the front and the back of that hole. And I'm going to select the hole and delete it. Select the hole and delete it. So I went into component edit mode, and now I'm going to click over here to get out of that. I'm still in transparent mode, so if I flip around and grab this other side, right click and unlock it, triple click to get into component edit mode, grab this hole, grab this hole. Someday we're going to make this a little bit easier to deal with, but for now that's what you would have to do. And now I can start over again with my rectangle tool, select it, and maybe draw a couple doors in there. And my door layer is off, that's why they didn't show up. and there they are. So one of the lessons here is get your, and again, if I were to change the width of this cabinet, these doors would have to change, so I would have to delete them, possibly delete their holes if I had a problem, and redraw them. So it's best to draw the doors and drawers at the very end after you're sure that the size of the cabinet is the way you want and everything else is good, so you don't have to delete and redraw these very often. So that was the case for face frame cabinets, which is relatively straightforward and a little bit easier because it's easy for me to draw the rectangle on a face frame cabinet because I can grab this point here and this point here and we're in plane and it's easy to draw the rectangle. But what happens if we switch this to be a frameless cabinet, or at least partially frameless? So I'm going to go in, change my parameters on face frame, and what I'm going to do is take away the, oh, hold on. Let me, since I made a bunch of parameter changes here, what I'm going to do is just take and reload the parameters that I built this cabinet with. Now I can go back in, and what I'm going to do is just get rid of the mid rails. So if I now go and right click, CabWriter, redraw selected cabinets, do not use the stored defaults. Now I got a little problem. My doors are a little short because there's no rails in there. So what I need to do is get rid of these doors. And I'm just gonna for ease of use here, I'm gonna do CabWriter. This is right click on the cabinet, select subassembly, select doors, unlock them all, right click, and just delete all the doors. And I want to show you how we would draw a set of doors between these 2 points here. Now we're going to have this hole problem in here, so you know what I can do, just real quick, is unlock this component, triple click on it, go into transparent mode, and I'm just going to grab all of these holes here. Hold on. Sometimes you gotta just do a couple at a time to get them all in. I don't want to grab too much other geometry. And let's grab these guys. And then we have to do the same on the other side. Unlock it. Move over so you can see it. Triple click. Grab all these holes. Delete them. Grab all these holes. Making sure that you're getting just the holes. There you go. Take transparency off. Click and get out of there. So now I got 2 fresh openings there. So here's my problem. I've got a nice point on the face frame to grab because this rectangle has to represent the outer face of the door. I can't come down here. This is the inner face of the door. I'd have some weird rectangle on them, some odd angled plane that wouldn't work very well. I need to be out here, but where do I need to be? So what I can do is take my tape tool, go on here, and come down 3/8 of an inch. That's the center of the divider. And then I'm going to come out here on the red axis, and once I find the red axis, I can hit the shift key so I stay on the red axis, and I'm going to come out 13/16. I'm typing in, and that puts me directly in so it intersects with my face frame. So that tells me where my rectangle should go. So it goes from up here, oops, on the rectangle tool, I hit R for rectangle, grab it here, and where that intersection is. That gives me my rectangle, so I can draw my door. So I select that, hit the door tool, it's thinking, Number of doors, we'll go 2 doors. So now I got to do the same down here, because my doors down here would come 3/8 of an inch to the center there, and then I'm going to come 13/16 out, and that gives me my next. I hit R for rectangle, and I got to go make sure I catch this point here, and then come down here, and that gives me my second rectangle. Select that, select the door tool, do 2 doors again, and let me get rid of these lines so we can see what's going on in there. If we zoom in and measure the distance between these 2 doors, it's 3/32. That's the gap that we've specified in our parameters. It knew that the middle rail was not being drawn, so it instead of putting a full gap there, so when we had a face frame and that was a wholly enclosed opening there, it put a 3/32 gap all the way around, but here he knew we were missing a rail, so it just did half a gap when it drew the door where the rail was, and half a gap for this one, which made a full gap. Now, the other thing I notice here is that my settings for base doors were for the lower rail is 3 1/4. So I neglected to change that for these doors, so I should have went in, made my edit to the lower rail on the doors before I drew these drawers. So I'm going to have to delete them and redraw them with new parameters later. But that's the concept. That's how you deal with putting on doors or drawers in a frameless situation. And that about wraps up our insert door and drawer tools. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.